Hey y'all. So I'm back with another war video, and today I'm doing a compilation of what I think are the most interesting fights from my first week. So that's 3 wars. If you think that I might be showing you just my best fights, funnily enough, this is almost the opposite. I'm sending you most of the fights where I look the most like a moron, because those are the ones that we can learn from, right? You don't need to see me do something just completely obvious and easy for 70 seconds and be done. So this first one is the second ebb and flow intercept node, Mighty Charge. Some of you will probably recognize it just from that iconic horse, icon there. And I'm sending this one because Mighty Charge makes it really, really difficult for Nico to keep up her buff immunity. Basically impossible. And so what we're seeing is that I'm basically just giving up on that pretty early. It's not worth it. And that means that I'm losing out on a lot of damage, right? Because if I have to keep the halt up, then I don't get access to the poisons. And so you will see here, I want those poisons. And so I decide to wait out some of the counterpunch charges. I get a bunch of passive poisons. And now I'm just waiting for him to throw this here so that I can get to the special one and get the halt back up so I can keep my tempo up. But this is just letting me do a little bit more damage. There, I get the protection off, and the poisons do real damage, but then... Oh, no, wait. I didn't mess up there. Spoilers for those of you who know how I do this. But yeah, this is going decently, right? Like that let me do a little bit more damage. Honestly, I probably just should have stuck to the special one and kept the protection off more often. I also could have made a point to throw some more heavies and get some more furies. That probably would have been fine, right? This might have been a little bit slower, but I think overall, the lesson for this fight, for anybody watching it back, is to just be more patient than I was. Because if you're not patient, then that can happen. And you can eat most of a special 2 to the face when he has max energy, and you can lose most of your health to corrosions, which is completely unnecessary. I guess not most of my health. Well, technically most of my health, because that was about 100 to less than half. But anyway, you don't need to be that aggressive. This is the kind of fight that's always going to be slow. This is a placement for Thanos that doesn't let Nico take advantage of all of her kit at once. And that was on purpose, right? Like, there's a reason her buff immunity isn't a passive, because she'd probably be too strong. And so you're seeing the weaknesses of her kit here, right? And that's just something that we accept. And that means that it's something that you have to accept if you play this, right? Now, you don't have to be stupid like I was just there, but I think the lesson is you can just take your time. You can spam special ones. You won't time out. You're still going to be removing the protection. Use the miss for that. Maybe throw some heavies. Don't be aggressive and take risks like I did there. It was still a solo. If I was better at the special 2 decks, then I probably could have even done a faster solo, right? But it was risk I didn't need to take. And so if you're assigned this and you haven't taken it before, that's my main piece of advice. Now, moving on, this was one that I was pretty nervous about. This is Bullseye on Poison, Rupture, Hazard Shift. Now, Nico answers the Poison Rupture part perfectly. And with the Stimulate passive, she answers Bullseye's crits through block quite well too. But what she doesn't answer is Bullseye's bleeds. She does not have any defense to bleed, and so while I'm doing a decent job of reparrying the basics, we are going to take some bleed damage during the specials. Now, as a reminder, Adrenaline Decay pauses both when you convert some and when you gain more. And so every time he hits our block, even though we don't have our Zeal passive to hold on to the Adrenaline, we are managing to hold off that adrenaline decay a little bit longer, and so we're getting to capitalize on this, right? And that's why I'm not really worrying about conversion. We are losing some health, but it's not a big deal. Things are still going pretty well. We are way ahead in the HP race because that special 2 bought us a lot. This special 1 here we know is not going to give us a miss because Bullseye cannot miss. That's okay. I think in fights like this, where the opponent doesn't have a lot of buffs, and therefore the buff immunity isn't a key part of it, what you want to do with Nico is just kind of top up with the special 2 every once in a while, right? Once you've given them a lot of pentacles, go for it, you'll get some damage out of it. But what you really don't want to do is be late and get parried by Bullseye. Yeah, that's not the first time I've been parried by a rank 4 Bullseye. It is one of the first times that I haven't gotten immediately deleted by the follow-up, so that's nice. But yeah, this fight would look a lot prettier if I had not made that mistake, and so I think that means that Nico really is one of the best options here. Like, this fight would be really clean if you give me back that health that I lost to the parry combo. And yeah, I would definitely send this again. And so that's why I'm putting it here, because I think it's a really good fight that you can learn from. Just don't do the bonehead thing that I did, right? It was almost too late there again, honestly. But that's okay. There's our special 1. And this kills. So, moving on to the last fight from this particular war, we have Future Ant-Man on Stunning Reflection Bleed Shock. So that's the newish one with Bane and Force of Will on it. That makes Future Ant-Man a bit tougher, but if Serpent is open, he's definitely one of the better options here, simply because he gets that pierce, right? He is not tactic, and so we just have to accept that we're going to take some power detonation. There's not really a way around it. But we can spam the special 1 whenever we can. That's going to help. We're probably going to take some Bane damage just because we can't parry. That's all right. You see there, we get to move it back. I, unfortunately, am a little bit late on that dex, and so I do have a disintegration on me. But I am mostly keeping up the special 1. We are ramping. We're really close to the pierce now, and then we won't have to worry about the glancing anymore. Boom, there we go. We transfer Bane over. And so, like, you're going to lose some health in this fight. I think I actually have kept the power detonation off, so most of this damage is just Bane and block damage. But you're going to take some damage. That's not a problem, right? I don't have another Serpent fight after this. Even if I did, I could just heal. This is quite good. We've completely turned off the glancing now. When he power drains us, it just ramps us further, and it doesn't have its full effect. We're doing good damage. He doesn't do anything to stop the cold snap. It's not one of the damaging effects that triggers his regen. We're not running into his damage cap. I slow my combo there to make sure we keep Bane on him, and the fight's over. So Serpent's been banned a lot this season, so I'm not saying just send Serpent, but if he's open and you see that placement, really good answer. Now, this one is tough. This is a really difficult placement. There are a few answers. Mole Man is good. There are a few others that we've talked about and or seen. But the theory of this fight was basically Patriot was built for Photon for when you couldn't stop a science champion from going unblockable, right? And it's pretty tough to stop Spider-Woman from going unblockable on this particular node, right? If you haven't faced it, then since the bug fix a few months ago, steady buildup does now properly increase defensive ability accuracy, and so that means that these debuffs are pretty much just going to happen, right? And so what I'm doing here is just re-parrying and sticking to hitting her while she is stunned. And as long as I can do that, this fight goes okay. I basically just need to make sure that I do not throw specials while I have a bunch of power stings on me. Now, if I don't have a fumble and I don't have power stings, then I can get out of the way of specials. I do not have her special 1 evade down right now, and so I'm not really trying to do that, but you can, right? I do want to call that out. It just requires you to pay attention, and that means that you need to be on top of the ensnare, which I was not there. I trusted my parry when it wasn't going to happen. And it means you need to make sure that the fumble is not up and that the power stings are not up. But I basically have unlimited reversal here, right? I can just drop my block, go to charge heavy, and I'll immediately knock her down. I kind of forget what I was doing there. Oh, I was probably waiting out the power sting. No, I really don't know what I was doing. But here we go again. I think this is where I make the mistake. No, I go for the reversal. Oh, not yet. I also want to call out most of the damage we've taken thus far is not actually block damage, it's the shocks. We stop a lot of block damage, but those instant shocks still really hurt us. And here's the mistake. I did not intend to throw that special 3. I dashed back and I hit the special button by accident. And yeah, some of you knew that was coming. I had 10 power stings on me, I died. I was actually ahead in the health race, and I was going to stay ahead. Because a thing about Patriot that I think a lot of people don't know, the weakness that he puts on his opponent while they have a passive fury gets stronger as he loses health. So I was taking less and less damage as the fight went on, both from blocked hits and from the shocks. Everything she was doing was getting weaker. And so if I had just stayed the course as I was intending to, I would have come out of that fight alive. And this is punching up. This is a rank 3, I think Sig 1 Patriot against a rank 4 Spider-Woman. So a higher Sig Patriot would have more block proficiency. That would help a fair amount, although it wouldn't help against the shocks. Yeah, this is a very, very winnable fight, a very soloable fight. You just have to not accidentally hit the special 3 button. But I'm sending it because, you know, I've seen some other bans around Spider-Woman. It can be tough to path the options for her. And so I'm sending that because even though I died, I do stand by it being one of the better available options. And if you have a big Patriot, that's something you can do. So I sent this one, even though, bluntly, this is a very easy fight. Like, this is quite trivial. Just because this is the kind of fight that you would path Nico for, and then you do a bunch of other fights, right? And so it was worth sending it once, right? I have Mr. Fantastic pre-fights. That's helpful. He is tactic, so it's a little bit easier to path him, especially if you're one of those people that already has the 7-star. But this is just a showcase of Nico in her prime, right? The Stimulate passive is really helping us out against that block damage. The buff immunity is keeping Serpent under control, is stopping the true focus so I can get out of the way and actually dex his specials. Although I don't need to because I'm getting so much adrenaline from blocking them. I actually probably should make a point to not dex out any of the specials, because the more adrenaline I gain from blocking them, the more furies I have, and the faster this goes, and the less time we have for Aspect of Evolution to come online. But it's kind of fun to be able to dex Serpent specials. It's not something that a lot of people can do, and so I will forgive myself for that. Now, one problem there that I could have handled better, more strategically, is I could have planned ahead for the end of the fight and made sure I had death immunity up, had buff immunity up when he went into death immunity. It would have been simpler, but as you saw, still a very straightforward fight. We had an invulnerability boost. We could have handled it. I'm also sending this Gorr fight, despite the fact that it is quite easy, because, again, it's one that I think is worth showing off. This is Gorr on his usual placement, the power efficiency one eye open fight on path 8. And Nico just destroys this. We start with buff immunity, so we don't have to worry about any of his stuff coming up. I could parry here and heavy. When you have that protection up, you don't take much damage from one eye open because you're not doing much damage. And so I definitely could have done this a little bit faster, but we were getting to that special 2 so quickly, and so much of the damage comes after the special itself, that just wasn't worth it to me. And there you see this time we use the special 1. Doesn't do that much damage. That's not even true. It did a lot of damage. It doesn't do as much damage as it could have if we had gotten the protection down. But that just goes to show you how in control of this particular fight she is. That was less than 40 seconds. Now, the other reason I showed you that fight is because it explains this next one a bit better. I felt like I had to use buff immunity on Gorr. And so I didn't have it available for this Thanos fight. But that was okay, because this is Rich Get Richer, and I had a buddy of mine in the battle group drop off Odin's for me. So I am going to start the fight gaining power, and that is just going to let me ride up to the special 2. and turn off his buffs for the rest of the fight, and then I'm just going to spam special 1 until the cows come home. So we are just waiting here. I do go for that heavy there, because again, I still have more buffs than he does. I am clocking that the pentacle is counting as a unique buff, so I want to be careful here. But now, we're safe. He doesn't gain any furies, they just turn into acid burns. We throw another special 2. Again, my plan was to throw special 1 until the cows come home. But sometimes this power game put us to special 2, and so we threw that as well. That's fine. Once you're going on this fight, it really doesn't matter. We're not doing any damage here because that protection is still up. That's okay. It's just a tempo play. We are rolling through this. And there's the last protection. I throw this special 1 anyway to make sure that I don't lose my effects. We know it's not going to do anything. He throws this, and his health starts dropping again. We close it out with this big special 2. Just over 2 minutes for a big Thanos. And that was my last fight of War 3, and the last fight that I have for you this week. I may go back to individual wars for upcoming seasons, but I've been quite busy. We moved recently, for those of you who have heard me say that on live streams, and so I am kind of focused on the house in some ways, so I may stick to these weekly highlight videos for War. Hopefully you found this interesting, maybe helpful for your own planning. Like I said, I did try and pick the best ones for viewers, not necessarily the ones where I played the best, as is very obvious. But yeah, let me know how y'all felt about these fights. See you in the comments, and until next time, thank you so much for watching, and take care.